So welcome to this week's edition of the Volunteer Corner. I'm with Eric Hobden. Actually, we're totally laughing. We've had a lot of fun today. But Eric, we're in the diaper room. Can you tell me what you do here?
I have rarely been in the diaper room at all. It smells slightly like baby powder, and
well,
it's
actually,
amazing. It's fantastic.
This is part of the reason we're laughing. But why is it that we're in the diaper room as opposed to where you normally work?
Because it's the only place that's quiet.
Right
and
now.
I have never worked in the diaper room before.
Yeah. So it's getting close to the end of the day, but there's folks sorting produce, and they're running a bit of music. There's lots of pallet trucks going around, so going in the warehouse is a little difficult. Yeah. It's really busy out front.
It is very busy out front today.
Of that. So it's been sort of difficult. So this is one of the places that we came. We sometimes go into one of the art room areas, which is really quiet, but we thought, why don't we show another area of the food bank? And
it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah. So this is kind of where we store the diapers. And I actually don't come in here either. So I guess I walk through. But this is where they store the diapers and then they sort them. So people make donations and then we're able to give them out. But let's talk about you.
Okay.
You've been volunteering how long at the food bank?
Over 8 years.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Did that fly by?
Wow, my goodness. Wow, 8 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you were here obviously before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And okay, so describe to me a few of the things you do, because Eric might have been here for 8 years, but you do a ton of things.
I started off sorting way at the back in the corner and would pick up the occasional extra shift and learn how to make hampers. And then all of a sudden there was a pandemic and I became part of a team.
Team Chaos!
Yes,
Woo-hoo!
Team Chaos.
Yeah, of course, which is really, really fitting for some of us, right?
It's absolutely true. Yeah. And so my half a day shift blossomed into 2.5 days of life at the food bank. And I was working in the warehouse and I was unloading trucks and moving things around. I even had to go out and buy a pair of steel-toed shoes just in case, because you never know.
You never know, yeah.
And so we were doing all of that sort of everything that had to happen in here.
Yeah.
So I was doing anything in the warehouse that had to be done. I was doing fetching and produce and extras and anything that had to happen up there and other things in between.
You're filling in, and so but now what are some of the things you primarily do now? And so, because I've seen you in trucks.
I that's true. Karen and I do pickups on Thursday mornings from a couple of the grocery stores. I was out there this afternoon with Glenn picking up from more grocery stores, so I fill in a lot when there's not somebody available to do that.
Yeah. So what else? So you help with the Meals on Wheels. You help with putting together hampers.
And the VON hampers.
You do dog food. I've seen you actually.
I was doing dog food yesterday.
Dumped the dog food everywhere.
I made a big mess.
Actually, it was a lot of fun. So when we say doing dog food, basically we get. Actually, can you explain it?
Well, there are 20 kilogram bags of dog food. In this particular instance, we had a skid of them piled about.
Yay.
I don't know, 4 feet high.
Yeah.
And so I would grab a 20 kilo bag and cut it
pounds,
open, 50 pounds, and put it in Ziploc bags and zip them up, put them in a banana box and take them up to the front where they would add them to hampers as people requested.
Yeah.
So dog food, cat food, wet and dry, whatever it is, we process it and bring it up.
Yeah. And that's really because it's a huge donation, obviously, with regards to a big bag. We break it down so it can actually help more people.
Yeah.
And there are some folks who specifically come in and ask for cat food, dog food, if they've got them, obviously. And it's not always we have, but if we have it, it's great.
And at the time we had none, so I went back and again, we needed some, so I filled up a few banana boxes and shipped it up to the front, because that's what we do.
So I've seen you do hampers.
I've done hampers.
I've seen you pack produce still.
Yes.
Do you have a regular shift with that as well?
I don't anymore. I had regular shift on produce for quite a while.
You did a very good job.
I did a great job. I quit. It was sticking my thumb in the rotten bananas or peaches or whatever.
You wanted to try something different.
Yes, that's right.
For sure. And actually that produce job in that sense was you were putting together produce to go out for clients. And it was just you know, you were here 8 years ago. It wasn't as busy as it is now. We've basically doubled
No,
and tripled.
not bad, yeah.
So it's
By far.
it's a job that kind of keeps going. But I have also seen you put away what we call returns.
Mhm.
So can you explain what that is?
So anything that's left over, so when somebody comes into the food bank and gets a hamper full of food, they take it outside. There are tables out there, so they put whatever they want into other containers or whatever. Anything that they leave behind because they don't want comes back into the food bank, gets put into shopping carts and returned into the system.
Yeah.
But it goes at the end of the system because it's the last out, so it's the last to go back out again.
Yeah.
And so we have to pick out all the things and put them in the proper place on the sorting
places.
tables.
But so people come in, and can you talk a little bit about why they might leave it behind? So it's not so always sometimes that they want is a particular thing, but what are some reasons why they might leave it behind?
Some reasons they have allergies to some things. Yep. They leave things behind for religious reasons. So, for instance, if something is not a halal thing, or it contains something like pork, or if they're vegetarian and it contains meat, or if it has milk products or wheat or something like that in it, and we don't always sort for those. They'll take it out, or if it's something that they have an allergy to that they haven't made us aware of, they'll take it out and leave it behind, or it's just something they just don't like.
It's the kids. Oftentimes, when you're a family and you've got kids, there's that. We've also found over time there's specific. If somebody comes from a different country, they have different likes about beans. They know how to cook particular things. So often, someone who comes from another country doesn't know what to do with a craft dinner. The reading becomes a bit of a... So what I actually like about it is people aren't taking it, and if they're not going to use it, throw it out. They're actually leaving it so that we can use it for something else.
It's a great thing.
So it's kind of that great thing. We may not sort. We do have vegetarian hampers and gluten-free, but not everybody always tells us. So it's kind of that sorting mechanism. So you then, the returns come in and we take them back. Yeah. So that's amazing. The fresh produce always ends up going out most all the time, unless there's something. We get some different fresh produce sometimes.
We certainly do.
That you don't like. Even I don't know what to do with, so I would probably I like those big aloe. Parsmicius, or I don't know. I don't know what they're called. But anyway,
I have an app on my phone that'll tell me. Here's what it is. This is how you cook it. But we just scratch our heads and send it out and hope for the best.
So am I missing anything? Because you're still doing everything.
The other thing that I've done here on a few occasions is I've had the opportunity to build shelves for the food bank.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
At the South London Community Centre and Northwest London Community Centre. So before they were opened, I went in and built shelves.
Yeah, actually,
too dissimilar from these, except mine don't look quite as good.
So you built shelves for us. You actually built art desks for us. Do you remember in the pandemic? Yes. There's a art program here, and so we needed to get the kids all separate from each other. They were basically all on a table, so you created it so they could have a desk each, which was So Eric's one of our builders and our building maintainers, and that's awesome, because that's a really important component of what we do. So the food bank always does those two things. One is we serve people that come into us for help, which are other people, but we serve other agencies. So you were actually helping set up a food bank someplace in a different part of town.
Different place.
Which was great. Yeah. No, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So two final little things I'd kind of like to chat with you about. So let's start with the fact that you do all of those things, but you are part of, it's not just you that comes down.
No, that's true. My wife and I come here.
Yeah.
Usually together. Sometimes I come by myself, or she has on occasion. But we typically do that. Thursday mornings we do pickups at a couple of the grocery stores together. She more often works at the front desk when I'm doing another shift, doing something else elsewhere here at the food bank. Yeah,
and we'll talk to her about that. But how do you're not obviously always together. We see you as a couple. We also see you as separate. But what does that mean to kind of be at the food bank and I don't know, be working with the person you love?
Well,
you do love her, right?
Well, yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I will say that. I love just in case you're watching. Um, she and I work together on Thursday mornings, but typically we don't on the other days. And we enjoy the opportunity to both work together at the food bank and separately at the food bank because we have different interests. She drives on Thursday mornings. I don't drive because I don't see well. She drives because she sees well, but she's prefers to be in the more administrative center, I guess you would say, in the food bank, whereas I prefer the hands-on aspect in the back doing the physical work. Yeah. Okay. And I don't see well. I have a disability.
So let's talk about that.
Sure.
Actually, yeah. So
I've had a disability since I was born.
Yeah.
I'm technically legally blind, which means that I have, here for all you techno fanatics, I have a visual acuity of 2200s in the better eye after correction, if you want. It's the definition, right? So it means I really don't see well, and because I've had this disability since I was born, I've learned to be able to adapt.
So not only are you adapted, but you come and you work at the food bank, and it is a visual place per se, but does it feel like you have a disability? Like, we don't look at we actually, to be honest, we forget.
Yeah. And that's the best scenario, right? That's the most complimentary. Yeah. In my opinion, I like to think, here's me, I do my thing, and if I have a problem seeing something, I'll tell somebody, but I typically don't, just because I've been able to cope. Yeah, and I think it points to a few things that obviously physical disabilities, whatever it would be, some are seen, some we immediately know when someone's in a wheelchair. Yeah. Some we don't always notice, but disabilities they're just there. They don't necessarily, it's not that they don't mean anything, but we don't always know what people are going through. Yeah. So it's kind of like people that are coming to us for help as well. We don't know what they're going through, so we just have to treat them okay. Yeah. And so you're here with this, I don't even like calling it a disability, but you're here with this disability, but you're just one of us making a difference, helping others. And I think that's wonderful, and that's amazing. And you don't let that stop you making a difference. Yeah, no, it doesn't hold me back. Yeah. I do a lot of things other than food bank. Yeah. I worked for a living from when I was 19 until I retired, and I do volunteer. I play in, I sing, and I play in bagpipes in 3 bands, and I travel and do all the rest of the stuff. So that's all part of the experience of life. Well, for sure. And so, you are talking about some of those other things. Like, you volunteer. Like, you just don't volunteer. You volunteer with all those bands. You help administrate all of those things. You go out and you do charitable work. I think that's... Yes, I do. I think that's great. So... Thank you. We love having you. And I enjoy being here. We love having you as part of us, because we actually see... This is what really makes the food bank work for us, is all the volunteers that are here. It does. It certainly does. And there's a lot of wonderful people here. Yeah. Lots and lots, and people come and go and all of that. Yep. And it's great to meet the different people and hear about the different experiences. It's fantastic. For sure. So a few more questions before I let you go. Okay. What do you like about being at the food bank? Just what I said. Why do I keep coming? If I would have discovered the food bank as a place to work when I was in my late 20s or early 30s or whatever it was, I would have applied for jobs here like crazy, because having worked here for 2.5 days a week during the pandemic, I think it's a great place to work. The people get along. Everybody, not entirely, there's always things that happen, but in different personalities, but in general, things happen at the food bank. Plus, it represents what I believe is grassroots helping of people. Mm-hmm. You can put money in a jar and as you're walking through a mall or whatever the case may be, and that's great. That's fantastic when people do that. Yeah. But being here, you actually see the food come in and the food go out the door with people who are taking it home. Yeah. And so there's something really down to earth for me about that. Plus, you also see a whole bunch of people who are working here and volunteering here that share a common interest. Yeah. That's what I like. Yeah. Okay, we all have a common interest in making the world a better place. Yeah. And with one can of beans at a time. Yeah. It's common ground. It's the common ground of, it doesn't matter your
disability. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your religious persuasion, or your political. All of those things. We're one.
Absolutely.
It's kind of the commons, they call it, where people come together. That's a great way to say it.
Yeah, it is.
I probably shouldn't end on this, but what's the one thing you don't like? What's the one thing you? I mean,
I have to take 2 buses to get here.
well, that's actually a good one in that kind of context. But
So if
sometimes
I have to take the bus, and I don't often, Karen will usually drive me, or we're coming together. But if I'm coming here for a shift on my own, although sometimes it's nice to take the bus home.
Yeah.
Because then at the end of the day, it's like when I was working wherever, I would take the bus home, and you get a break from work to home. And I think of food bank as a place where I work.
Yeah.
And I take on that responsibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as things that I don't like, it's hard to put my
yeah,
finger on anything here other than
like the mushy produce.
sticking your thumb into a. I'm not sure what it was that I stuck my thumb in. What is that?
Yeah, I do think in the end, whatever discomfort, or sometimes, like, we all have things we don't like, but the overall thing of what we do, the commons you're talking about, the fact that it's a grassroots group, or we're actually making a difference in people's lives, I think that overshadows everything, and so every little thing, I think, you can get around it. No, I think, the other thing about taking 2 buses or whatever, you oftentimes see that's what people go through to get here.
That's what they do.
Yeah, and we still, I know there's depots and we've got spaces out there, but sometimes if you just need help, people just take the buses and off they come. So Eric, thank you. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would
I
like
don't
to
think
say?
so, Jane. I think that covers it.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
What we love about doing these in terms of meeting volunteers and just talking about what they do is just how what makes the food bank great is actually volunteers, or people like you, Eric. You are an embodiment of that spirit. So thank you. We absolutely love having you. We absolutely love having. We still love having Karen too, but we love having both of you here, because it's just, you're part of the team. It's pretty great. So thank you for doing that.
And I feel like part of the team, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.